The world has lots of problems: diseases, hunger, poverty, war, and climate change. Every one of these is an important issue and should be addressed with a sense of alacrity. However, the most urgent need, in my opinion, is the realization that this is the only home we have and that we must pass it on to our future generations as clean as our parents had given it to us. That is, we must work on reducing carbon emission and ensure that the ambient temperature does not go up. That's why reducing fossil fuels and enhancing the use of solar and wind power become very critical to the survival of this planet. Please do so. Thank you very much.
Good evening and welcome back. We thank our title sponsor, Celebrite Media, for the wholehearted support. Dr. Manjiri Prabhu believes that any problem can be resolved by compassion and love. And if there are no problems, peace can be attained. With her 30 plus years of experience and research and love for dogs, she has put forward a new proven theory that having dogs in your life and caring for them can result in global peace. We want to know more about her 9 sutras of the doctrine, a new word coined by her for her philosophy. Let us see what our eminent guests have to say in the discussion on the doctrine of peace and about caring for street animals. We welcome our guests in the studio, Mrs. Aarti Surendranath, Dr. Manjiri Prabhu, and Mr. Dipankar Mukherjee, who is the publisher of the book and will also lead the discussion. Mrs. Aarti Surendranath is a strategist for brand building of many products and campaigns internationally as well as in India. She has a vast experience in advertising and a career span that began at the age of 15 as a model and rose to become the country's number one within a few months. She went on to becoming a leading lady in several Bollywood films and then chose to work behind the scenes as a producer of commercials. Armed with a learning and invaluable in depth knowledge of marketing, she has worked on innumerable advertising campaigns. She expanded on to putting together events. Known and well recognized for devising individual, unique, niche plans for brand promotions. Her association with an event or product is known as assured with highest quality and finesse, setting it apart and above the regular advertising or marketing events held in the country. Her work associations have grown to become loyal, faithful clients. In short, she's a model, an actor, a production designer, luxury product consultant, curator of events, an experienced producer at KPC Private, and an animal welfare enthusiast. Dr. Manjari Prabhu is an award winning international author of 18 books, mystery and a thriller writer, a short filmmaker, and the curator, founder, director of 2 international festivals. Pune International Literary Festival and International Festival of Spiritual India for Humanity and Wisdom. She's also an animal welfare activist promoting caring and adoption of stray dogs for more than 35 years. Dipankar Mukherjee is the publisher and director of Readomania, one of India's traditional publishing houses. Under his leadership, the house has produced over 100 books in just about 5 years, with some critically acclaimed titles as well. He's an engineer and holds an MBA degree from IIT Madras and had been in the corporate world for 9 years before becoming an entrepreneur. Let's start the discussion, handing the virtual mic to Mr. Dipankar Mukherjee. Thank you.
Thank you, Rucha, for the wonderful introduction and setting the piece for the discussion. Today, we've gathered here to have a discussion, as Rucha mentioned, on the book, The Doctrine of Peace, and around the fact that how important dogs are in our lives and what's happening around for the service of dogs. This book, The Doctrine of Peace, is based on 30 plus years of experience of Dr. Manjiri Prabhu with dogs, for dogs, and around dogs. And distilling all the knowledge that she's gathered over the years, she's also gone about interviewing multiple people who are who's who in the field of service for dogs and animal welfare, and putting together a body of work which will go a long way in trying to show to the world how and what love, compassion, caring, and sharing can do to us as human beings. With that background, I'll quickly jump into the questions to both the panelists. And my first question to you, Dr. Manjari Prabhu, is that what and how did the idea of the book come about? And what was the process of writing this whole book?
Well, thank you, Rucha. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
fine, yeah. So, Rucha, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Aarti, welcome to IFSI studio. Dipankar, you're a veteran here. So, as a festival director, I'm taking this pleasure of inviting both of you here too. Well, way back in college, one of my friends gifted me a dog. Till then, dogs were in my life. There was some, a German Shepherd in my house, and I used to be very scared of the dog. Even as a pup, I was scared of dogs. But then there was a dog called Rocky who came into our lives. But they were just dogs. You see, dogs. Like everyone looks at dogs. I used to look at dogs. But when I was in college, a friend of mine gave me a Pomeranian called Sheena. And Sheena completely changed my life. There's a Manjiri before Sheena and there's a Manjiri after Sheena, because Sheena made me realize what life means. She made me realize and understand the value of life. And she opened my heart to other dogs and to street dogs, and the love just flowed. While this was happening on the side, on the other hand, I could see so much neglect, abuse, and carelessness, and in calling dogs a menace, and generally the attitude towards dogs was very hostile. And I realized along the years, while I was working with dogs, that somehow love and compassion was missing in the lives of these people. And what was the best way to bring that back? Because without love, compassion, this world won't survive. I mean, that's for me, that's the honest truth. And I realized that the answer was right there in front of us, and that was dogs. It was a very simple answer. All you needed to do was welcome dogs into your life, look at the street dogs as your friend, and as a snowballing effect, your life was going to change completely. And that's how the theory, the doctrine of peace, was formed.
Only, or rather, the world knows you as an actor, as a model, as a superb marketeer. But there's also a different side to your life. There's a side of service, of compassion and love towards animals and animal welfare. Tell us something about the huge body of work that you have with animals.
Firstly, I must begin by thanking you all for putting this, not just for inviting me, that's an honor, but you've done a complete service overall to publish this book, Dipankar. And Manjiri, it's absolutely fabulous. The meticulous details you've gone through, which are experiences of every dog or animal lover. I think each and every person can identify with everything you're talking about in the book. So, for me, I don't know. I think I have my father to credit because he loved animals. And right from the time we were children, we were very closely associated. My father wasn't the kind of person who would say, Kuta katega, which I think is the worst thing people do, They just put children off. So my father never said that. And somehow, right from the time I was a very small child, I get told all this, I used to catch birds in my hand. Like at the age of 2 and 3, I have pictures and I wouldn't believe it otherwise of me holding birds actually and looking at them and feeling them and understanding them. And I would feel like I'm communicating with them. So it's been something that's there with me my entire life. Now, when you step out into the world and you are conscious, which is something either you are or you're not. Everybody has their own callings for consciousness or for awareness or to be sensitized towards something or the other. For me, I would the worst thing for me, I remember bursting into tears watching little puppies wet in the rain, and we're in Mumbai where the rains are very, very intense. That used to just break me down so completely. Nothing could pacify or comfort me for that. So I started small, small things like, carrying things with me and feeding dogs, whichever dog I saw. And I'd step out and see if I had biscuits with me. This is when I was very young. Straight from school, I was a sportsman, so I would go all over the place for all kinds of sports and tournaments and stuff. I would carry little biscuits and try to feed. For me, it was a retribution. It was just something I had to do. It was my calling. I had to feed some animal, be it birds, be it whatever. I always put water out for birds. I just had to do that. That became a lot more stronger and a lot more deeper. The thing is, when you make that eye contact with an animal, it just touches your soul. So everybody would tease me and say, everybody doesn't love dogs. What if you meet somebody and you fall in love with somebody who doesn't like dogs or who's not fond of pets? I said, it's impossible. I can never be fond of someone who would not like animals. That started off with my relationship first, and I got married to my husband, to Kailash Surendranath, who's also a very compassionate animal lover. It's unspoken, it's not something we planned or decided or figured out together. We would, do all great stuff, big campaigns, big work, but at the back of our mind, whenever there was something to be done for animals, like we've done innumerable films for PETA. One of them was cow slaughter, animals. It's just been unending. It's a very, very long list. One of the films is in the PETA international site. So it's quite interesting to watch, and it's heartbreaking when you see it and you see some facts and statistics. So I've worked with every organization. I've been campaign advisor at Wildlife Trust of India for elephants and for Chiru, the Tibetan antelope, to save them. The Shatu shawl is made of. I've worked on all kinds of things. And finally, at this stage in my life, I'm just doing things as hands-on as possible. It's, I think, basically the Seva ritual or the Seva teachings of the Sikh religion, that you have to go out and do something. So I think it's lovely and very indulgent. A lot of my friends go to satsangs and here, and it was very nice to attain their spirituality or to attain their knowledge or to attain something. For me, it was to go out and do something active. I just had to do something active. It was very frustrating because everyone's up against so many norms. We have great laws in our country, but how do you enforce them? And the little loopholes about this and that, about cows, about dogs, about street dogs, which area. It's unending, as we all know when we work with things. So I've just decided to do things that I want to, and you can just do that much. Actually, I feel I've not done anything. So I've narrowed in on a lot of places where they actually feed stray dogs. And the 3-4 places, and I just send sacks full of food to them. I keep in touch with them and ask them what's required, what medication is required. Pre, post, and during the monsoon, there's a lot of skin allergies and skin disease and stuff. So I figure out what they need. I buy those things and I get that sent to them. So I don't really like the thought of exchanging money. I want to see that things go directly somewhere. The other thing for the last couple of years is birthday celebrations for my family members. I don't want to enforce something on everybody, be it Raksha Bandhan, be it Diwali, now Holi coming, be it our anniversary. The whole thing is about sending food to 4 or 5 of these places where it goes into the belly of the animal directly. And of course, we have our own pets at home who leave whatever space that they can for us to sleep on the bed or sit on the sofa. So we manage that way. But I don't think it's enough. I think a lot needs to be done, but that's part of the things I do also.
Great. I think that's a huge body of work that's there. And, you mentioned a very important point about service, seva, and spirituality. I'm going to take that cue and ask a question to Manjiri. Manjiri, A, why did you pick up dogs? B, how and why did you link up service to dogs with spirituality?
Well, first, you don't need to pick up anything. Dogs are just the most natural choice because, well, they are our oldest domesticated animal, 15,000 years and more. There has to be a reason why they are in our life. And all it took me was to understand this reason. And the reason is very clear. They're there as our soul companions, they're there to guide us, they're there to show us what unconditional love means, what forgiving means. There's so much to learn from dogs. And when there's such a spiritual being in front of you who's so pure, it's a natural, thing in my mind that this is, a spiritual being in companion. When a spiritual being like a dog comes in contact with a person like a human being, a flawed human being, there's bound to be some of the spirituality for some of the spirituality to brush up on the man. Okay, so I realized that for us to really evolve, to really be conscious of the decisions we take, to really be sensitive to pain and misery around us, we needed a selfless companion in our lives, and that is how dogs came into this theory. Secondly, why the service? Well, street dogs are there they are there because someone sometime abandoned dogs. Okay, they just didn't come on the streets. Some of them were, of course, how should I say, transformations, or um, how should I say that they came from years and years of being packs of wolves, and then they turned into, narrowed down into being street dogs. But most of them, right from the beginning, were actually abandoned pets. Now, someone has to take care of them because otherwise they're termed as a menace, or they're looked at as a hindrance to us. They're looked at as a nuisance. And if you want to have a spiritual journey, you need to connect with something which is very selfless yourself. And what can be more selfless than taking care of animals who are not going to give you anything in return other than love? You take care of children, you take care of women, you take care of poor people. You're always going to get back something. Some kind of expectations always there. There are no expectations when you take care of dogs. It's just pure love and a pure bonding. And that for me is the biggest spiritual bond and the biggest path to spiritual awakening. And which is why service to dogs is very important, because it is completely selfless. And that is why I applaud Aarti, because, to do all this, to feed dogs and or for shelters and going out there, and like her, we also carried bits and fed and all that. The satisfaction that you get is one part of it. The service is another part of it. When both of this come together, there's bound to be a very strong spiritual awakening in you.
That's wonderful. So, Aarti, what would you say about that connection? What Manjiri is mentioning about service and spirituality. You did point to the fact that when your friends and there are other people who prefer going to a satsang, you prefer doing real work and going and providing service. So, do you also believe in what Manjiri said?
Absolutely. It's only after a long time and after many years of doing things, these things nobody can teach you or tell you. These are things that come out of learning. And, we as human beings actually are not as bright and deep as animals are. Animals can't speak, but I think they speak much more than we do. They don't talk nonsense, but they speak and they communicate and they get through to you, and their connect and their inherent love, their pure love. Actually, to me, I consider that a blessing, and I feel that's it is totally pure. I don't go to. I don't mean to run down anybody else who does that, but for me, the belief to go to take a mannat, go and do some puja with some, or go to some sacred person and get some blessing and stuff is okay in one way. But to me, if a dog that I have never met in my life before and I cannot meet him again, I don't know who he is, I just see him passing and I can just give him a few moments of something, that is a great amount of spirituality, and I get a lot from that. I get the blessing, which is just totally pure. And it's not only with dogs, it's dogs, cats, it's crows. I have a crow who comes and visits every day, and birds, sparrows are getting extinct. I mean, it's unending. What we talk about seeking spirituality, we go seeking. Mankind. Actually, it's all right there. It's just right there under your nose. You just got to pick it up and take it. After so much destruction, after ruining things so badly, you go to seek something and kind of forgiveness. That is a little bit of an eye wash, you know. So there's got to be an awareness that we need to take care of all things. What Manjiri said about stray dogs, they're not there, they're not born there out of their own choice. And in our Indian history, when the British, when we were getting our freedom, a lot of people who left their houses, homes, countries, cities, everything, they had to leave their dogs behind, and that's how the numbers went up to a crazy amount, and they were considered a menace. I really think for any human being who utilizes the gift that he's been given, the gift to think, if they sit and think, they will understand that it's guilt. When you're being cruel to a dog, you realize that you have no means to take over, you have no right to take over everything that the world has to offer, which is equally divided for all creatures, for plants, for everything. The world is given to the entire living being, to each and every one. So, in depth and in retrospect, I think it's not enough. I think the spirituality point that you've connected with dogs, and in my mind, it's with all animals, is so simple, and it's the truth. But why don't people see it? You know, that's the thing. Why? How don't they see that?
So I think that's a very important question that you asked. Why don't people see it? In fact, I'll stretch it further and ask, not just see, why are people cruel against animals? So Manjiri, my question to you is that there are, I mean, one issue that both of you mentioned is abandonment, but that's probably one part of the whole thing. There are so many issues right now which are creating a menace around animals and their lives. So why is it that human beings are in nature so cruel towards animals, especially dogs?
Okay, you want me to take that first? All right.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's a question of evolvement. It's a question of being aware that they are sentient beings. We human beings are very selfish. They only live in their own, their own ponds. They feel this world and earth belongs to them, and that no one else has any right to walk the roads except themselves. And there's this inflated ego, which is completely blinding the way we look at the world. And I think that's the biggest reason why the world is what it is today. We have forgotten that we share Earth space with other beings, other sentient beings, with the nature, with trees and plants and animals and even ants, and all of them are a part of our ecosystem, and each one of them is important for our own well-being, and we've forgotten that. And why dogs? Why are people mean to dogs? Because they have not understood the importance of dogs in their lives. Dogs are such beautiful creatures. They are your best friends. I mean that's a cliche, but honestly, man's best friend is a dog. I've just thought of something, and I'm going to give you this example. Not just that, they're such beautiful emotional beings. I'm going to just narrate a small story that came to me just now. My sister was in New York, and she was sitting in Central Park waiting for someone to come. And out of the blue, this dog came running from somewhere and started licking her. And some strange dog, okay, she didn't even know who that dog was or who the owner was, came, started licking her and falling all over her, and wagging his tail, his whole body shaking. And my sister was so surprised. She petted him. I mean, in the US and anywhere, you have to be careful even petting children, and okay, you're taking care of whatever. But she couldn't help it. She had to pet the dog. And then this owner came from behind. She was an American lady, and she appeared so flustered and apologetic. She said, "I'm so sorry." To my sister, she said, "I'm so sorry. He never does anything like this. He doesn't even go and sniff someone. I'm so surprised at his behavior." And then they just got talking, and she asked my sister, "Are you from India?" So my sister Sonia said yes. So she said, "Oh, we adopted this dog as a pup from India and brought him to the US." And that's when it struck my sister that the dog could smell the smell of India on my sister Sonia. Just imagine, after all these years, this dog was behaved so uncharacteristically that he went to my sister and licked her and was friendly with her, all because he could smell India on her. And to my mind, this is the biggest statement of patriotism you can find even in the whole world. What a patriotic dog. He could remember India. I mean, look at his emotions. So people have not understood what an amazing creature lives with us. It's just that, I think.
I think that's a very interesting story that you've mentioned there. But on that element, since that's an anecdotal reference that you've mentioned to us, Aarti, in your experience, what do you think has gone wrong with people treating dogs? I'll give you abandonment is one big issue. Okay, being cruel to them, stopping them from breeding. Okay, trying to throw them out of the roads and cleaning them up. Okay, and multiple other things are the ways in which people ill treat dogs. So how
Multiple unspeakable reasons,
so
unspeakable
how does
things,
one take care of this?
unspeakable
What is
things.
the system? Tell us something about what do you think is the right way to deal with this entire cruelty?
To start with, I feel so sad and so sorry for people who don't understand, who don't know, who've had no experience with dogs or with any animals. I just feel that their souls are very empty, and there's a path that they've not taken. They don't know, and how the feeling of being with a pet, with like just having your pet sitting with you. How can anybody explain it to somebody who's never experienced that before? That your life is totally incomplete.
Yeah.
It's just, how can anyone like figure that out now? People, human beings are not great. We're not great. That's why we have weaknesses. You will never ever hear of animals doing one half, even a part of the things that human beings do to each other. It's horrible, and it's shocking, and it's shameful, but that's just the way it is. People can do anything animals don't. Their level of sensitivity, their level of sensibility, their compassion, their feeling for each other. Now, there's a lot of videos, a lot of follow up, a lot of things where animals are growing up differently, and you can see how compassionate all animals are with each other. There are so many videos, and sometimes you just wonder, is it real? Which are with lions cuddling kittens, and it's meant to be a but that just goes to show you that mankind is we have a war that's just broken out. How can anything even be compared? I ask this question, Dipankar, as you have, to myself 1,000 times. Where is the answer? Where is the logical answer? There's no explanation, of course, but why people do all these things? I think because deep down they don't have compassion, they don't have that love, they don't have that feeling, they don't have that bond. Now, one understanding which I really very kind of something that I've understood deeply is that I always wonder, why are animals so faithful? Why are they so loyal? Why do they give their life for you? Why do they want to be with you? You realize by natural habitat, animals are born in packs. So, like human beings are born twins sometimes. The twin feels, senses, understands, and bonds with his other twin, and he knows everything that's happening about his twin. Similarly, animals, imagine they're in their mother's stomach, 6, 8, 10, sometimes 2, 3, 4, whatever number that they are there. They have such a consciousness, a collective consciousness with each other. Now, when they're taken apart against their own will, put away here and there, whatever their fates are, some of them so terrible, they're missing that out. So they're trying to make that connect with everybody. But you're talking about mankind. We are talking about human beings where the child is born of a mother's stomach. That's very questionable. Relationships between families, parents, in human beings, in the cases of human beings. Where can we go to just random people, and where can we go to understand why they don't have feeling or compassion for animals? Animals are treated so bad. It's not a secret. Everyone knows how badly they're treated, but people don't do anything. We have, sorry, just a little bit longer on this one. We have made a group through lockdown. Of course, there were smaller groups earlier where we would do whatever we could. Through lockdown, we've made a group, and it's gone to such large numbers, and everybody is just keeping a visual on the animal you see abandoned, on somebody you see starving, somebody you see hit by an accident. We've got together phone numbers, doctors, volunteers, ambulances, the works. And we've really tried to help. And I think through that, we've also met so many other foundations of so many people who are doing that. So all is not lost with mankind, but lots needs to happen.
I'm going to now trigger a very important debate. the debate between indie/street dogs and the pedigree or the breeding dogs. Now, we all understand, or rather, a lot of us understand that breeding itself is a crime. Okay, but many people don't. So, what is your opinion? And I'll go with Manjiri first and then come to Aarti. What is your opinion, A, about breeding, B, about pedigree dogs, and C, about keeping them at a high altar, on a high altar, and looking down upon indie or street dogs? Over to you, Manjiri.
That's a really sensitive issue with me. For me, dogs are dogs. I look into a dog's eyes, and that's all that matters. The only love and compassion I see in their eyes is all that matters. Having said that, pedigree dogs, mostly some of the breeds that we bring in, like the Dachshund, or the video, I keep forgetting his name, the pug. All these dogs are kind of structured dogs. Like the pug has a problem breathing. Every breath that pug takes is a torture on him. And if you put him in an ad and everybody wants a pug, you're only increasing the torture in their lives. So that's number one. You want dogs because somebody else has the dog. The Dachshund, he's got a long back. He always has back problems. So all these pedigree dogs you see, Saint Bernard. People get Saint Bernard. It's a beautiful, huge dog, but he is not suited for our country at all. You need an AC room for him and all that. So these are all status symbol dogs, which we don't really need them. We have beautiful dogs on the streets who need our help. If you take care of them, you're giving them life, and that's all that matters in the end. Having them as our companions and as our friends. And I think maybe Aarti can tell you more about pedigree versus indies. But for me, getting a pedigree dog and keeping him tied in the garden 24 hours, and some servant or help will walk him, and there's no contact between the owner, family, and the dog. All these are just no-nos. You bring a dog, he's a family member, no matter who or whatever you pick him up. As far as breeding goes, it's a market, it's a racket. It's a terrible thing. Dogs are, Aarti will tell you better about this, but it's a terrible thing to do, breeding. So maybe I'll give it over to Aarti.
Yes, thank you, Manjiri. You've covered a few of the points to give me a really nice opening on this. Yeah. I've always loved, nothing wrong with dogs of great breed, but as you pointed out, they don't belong. They are born for certain. It's like growing a plant which is meant to be grown in the Himalayas, and you grow it in the desert. It's like taking a cactus and putting it somewhere else. It's as similar as that. Now, again, here we go into something which might be an accusation of complete shallowness of mankind, but it is the designer thing. You have to have the it thing, and you mentioned the ad which created so much damage for the pug. Firstly, I never ask people to get any dog. I don't like to tell people that get any dog, be it a pedigree, because they get it on a whim. And after that, if the dog, of course the dog's going to chew things. Of course he's going to play. It's a baby. It's like saying like a baby is wetting things. He's going to wet things until he's trained. So I don't like to force people, you must have a dog, you must have a dog. Bhai, tumhari awakening hai, wake up or don't awaken. But if you're going to take a dog and then abandon it, that becomes a big issue. Now, this stigma and this awful passion towards breeds, half the people don't even know how to pronounce the name of the breed that they want. They want a certain look. They don't have the brains or the common sense to understand how much a husky or a Saint Bernard or a mastiff needs to eat, how much he needs to run. They have provided for nothing. They're seriously, we've got to get this thing in place. And I'm trying very hard to get things in place where, a dog is only given to somebody who can manage it, who knows what the hell it's all about. A child wants a dog like a new toy, and you've promised him, you get these many grades and we'll get you a dog. There's got to be, they've got to be criminally punished. Now, so layers and layers in the difference between stray dogs and and between indies, I won't call them so indies, and bred dogs. The thing is that when the dogs are bred and imported, you know how many of them die. Also, that we're creating a market of the worst kind of inbreeding to get those bred dogs. The poor female is stuffed with hormones. She is made to deliver every few months. She hasn't finished natural breastfeeding. Her nipples are swollen, they're sore. She's in agony, and she's made to gets impregnated again artificially forced and forced. A lot of time it is the same breed, so it's inbreeding. Puppies that are born with many defects. A lot of them start getting cataract early. A lot of them start getting blind early. They get rickets. They get, don't even ask the kind of problems they have. And the minute parents, people who've, I won't even call them parents, they're awful people who get these dogs, the moment they realize that, okay, this is not just a toy that you call when you want and goes away when it wants. It's got a mind, probably, not probably, definitely sharper and deeper than most human beings Then you realize that, oh, now I can't deal with this. So they take it. And the worst thing is they leave them on the road. Now that is really, there has to be a law to punish people the most, because go give the dog to somebody, find a place, find a home. Now, there are these long-haired dogs who are meant to live in cold altitudes or probably in air condition. They are left there to fend for themselves. They don't know. Animals are territorial. In the meanwhile, those poor Indies who have made their home there after being kicked, hit, beaten, starved, tortured, they've made their space. That is their space now. So you come and abandon a dog, you leave a dog there. There are situations now, however big a St. Bernard or a Husky is, he can rip the India to shreds, but he doesn't know how to. He doesn't know how to fight. He's lost all those instincts. Thank God, in a way, for that, because otherwise there'd be a bloodbath everywhere. If animals really show their true colors and they really act the way they are, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a situation that's impossible to handle or manage. As it is, the situation has gone so out of control. There are not enough departments to handle different things. You talk about neutering dogs. If you want to neuter them, there are not proper establishments to neuter Indies. Okay, so people want fancy dogs. My dogs are embarrassing what I'm saying. Sorry, they're just on cue. Well, so this is very, very passionate. It drives me mad. I mean, each one of my dogs, I decided I love all breeds, but I decided to only get Indies and rescue it. Each one has the worst possible story. They are all damaged, and you really need to tend to them differently. But my God, they are so goddamn bright. They are so brilliant. So, back to the breeding aspect. If there's anything I want to condemn more than anything, it is these goddamn horrible breeders. They have no soul, they have no conscience, they are horrible, horrible people. They have made those poor creatures. By the time a female dog is 3, 4, or 5 years old, she's finished. Her uterus is so badly damaged, she's been given so many hormones that she can't handle anything. And then they just dump her on the road. So that is where it's not me, it's a lot of colleagues, a lot of beautiful souls who got together, you recognize it. You recognize the dog sitting and looking out helplessly. And that's the stage we have helped them and taken them in. Other than that, there are beautiful golden retrievers, beautiful. Somebody had to move out, they had this, that, whatever the goddamn reason might be, they leave them on the road. Those dogs they are forever shattered. So there's a big mission that we work on very strongly to place them. In the last few years, I must say, all kinds of awareness and wonderful people like yourselves have worked very hard towards awareness, and a lot of people are taking in Indies. And it's very nice. So my social media page, especially my Facebook page, is full of places to go and adopt, to get dogs and to do whatever. And I get so touched when people call and tell me that they've adopted the Indies. Now, there are people who've bred the Indies, like for example, the Madhol Hound. They've bred them to what they originally were. That breed is magnificent. It is just so gorgeous and so beautiful. So right now, the mindset of people first, I wish we could. We can't really choose. The mindset for me at the moment is just to get people sensitized about animals, that this world, this earth, and everything it doesn't belong to us. We are here on as much borrowed time as much as the creatures are. Cosmically and karmically, they're doing a goddamn better job. We have been a disaster. We've left a trail of so much damage for our generations to come, and whatever people are saving up for children and grandchildren, it's of no use because we've destroyed the earth in the bargain, in the process. Now, to start with, since animals, the dogs are very the closest to mankind, in the sense you can't take your horse and sleep on the bed with him, or your elephant or stuff. They have become the closest pets to animal lovers, dogs and cats. So since they become a language to be able to process a message across, so I think you know that you can love a dog, and in retrospect to that, when you get so close and fond of an animal, all animals are meant to be loved and meant to be taken care of. So to me, the first message is that. After that comes the breed. Now people are shallow. You can't stop them. They have no confidence of their own. They need a designer breed or a designer outfit or a designer bag to make themselves worthy of anything. It's as simple as that in my eyes. And trust me, I've walked many paths. I can see and I can understand that. And I think that you can't. Toy cup. I want a teacup holder. I only want a teacup. Why? You want an accessory, or you want a dog, or you want a pet, or you want your own little baby? No, I want a teacup. That's all I want. To get that little teacup, the amount of abuse has gone through with breeders and with the female dogs to have that one puppy. And you can't, and their lifespan in many places, they fall sick because you're not able to look after, because to you, that is only an accessory. It's not your baby, And what they fail to understand is the story of every dog who's gone into every dog that I've got rescued, be it a breed or not, has got such a unique story. It's got such a unique story. I'm just saying, I want people to understand that when they take a dog, it's not we who are doing a favor to them. It's them who are raising our cosmic footprints, who are raising our karmic value on this goddamn earth. They're giving us an opportunity to do something nice. When the hell will people understand that?
Absolutely, Aarti, you've made a very, very valid point towards the end, that it's they who are teaching us the right way to live our lives, and they giving us the gift of spirituality. And that is where I believe the book, The Doctrine of Peace, comes in very, very handy, because it
Yes.
shows them the right path. But the next question then is, we all know and establish this, yes, loving dogs is one of the better ways of achieving spirituality. How does one communicate to the entire world, especially the non lovers of dogs or animals? How do you convert yourself
You
into
feel sorry for them. They have empty souls.
Manjiri, what do you have to say about this?
The reason why I wrote the book is exactly this. In some little way, I wanted to give the message out, adopt this way of life. And this book is not about dogs, it's about humanity. It is about how you can better your own lives. Dogs are going to be dogs. They'll be there. They have their own existence. They are growing, they're evolving, they're doing their own thing in this world. It's us human beings who need to understand how to use them for our benefit. And our benefit is not in terms of the kind of, I'm not talking about the business of all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about a spiritual evolvement, spreading, making us better human beings, spreading love, peace, compassion in the world, making this a happy world for all of us to live. That is the purpose of this book. It's not a book in defense of dogs. It's a spiritual blueprint, which is going to tell you, there are dogs in your life. They're beautiful, beautiful animals. They are going to show you the path to peace. Just follow that path. And that's, I've done my little bit. I also do my other little bits, of course, like feeding people, like fighting with human beings every single day. Aarti spoke about putting dogs and abandoning them and putting them in areas where, there are other dogs and all that. Just 2 days ago, my little, 1.5-year-old dog called Chintu, whom I had got neutered and vaccinated, and a very friendly dog, somebody just picked it up from our colony, and I don't know where he's dropped off. And I'm looking for him. I'm checking the CCTV footage, and I'm going mad trying to locate him, because I know he won't survive in any other area, dogs being territorial animals. Now, I've lived in that society for 25 years. They call me a kuttewali. Okay, literally, I don't care what they call me. I've been trying to teach them. The children have grown up in front of me. I've made them a part of animal welfare clubs, and I've tried to show them how important it is to have animals around us. despite all of that, people will not change. They just picked up this dog and now I don't know where he is. So it's so difficult to change the world, so difficult that no matter how many books I write, I know that it's a very long journey. No matter how many people how many, of course, people like Aarti and so many her groups and so many other people are doing their best, best to really make this world a better place. But it's a very long struggle because human beings are human beings, and I don't have much to say about them.
Aarti, what is your opinion and what should be our way forward to understand this and spread the message of love that animal welfare and care for animals can bring in humans' lives?
Manjiri, you are so right. You've written this book for human beings because animals have instincts they don't need to learn. They don't need to be taught anything. They come inbuilt with so much. So you're bang on there, and you're doing a lot. You're doing your own bit because the way to get this message across is never with aggression, and you have to
Yes.
do it with empathy. Human
Yes.
beings are not deep enough. Dogs are beaten up and they'll come back to you, wagging their tail
Yeah.
and asking, say, whatever I've done. So human beings are not. You talk to them on an odd day with a sore throat and say, why are you being rude? So the ego is too much with human beings. So bravo to you. Keep doing whatever you're doing and never feel it's not enough because every mickle makes a muckle. And
Yeah.
every little thing that you do is commendable and necessary. Now, the question you were asking me, Dipankar, I'm sorry, please repeat it again. I just got a little lost.
I wanted to check with you that what would be the ideal method to spread this message about being nice and compassionate towards animals.
I think our hope is children, is the young children of the world. They have understood by many different reasons. A couple of them are, they need facts. So all statistics are pointing out to the disaster the earth is in, the situation the earth is in, and it's not about animals, about dogs only. It's about all animals, the polar bear, the iceman. I mean, you can just go on forever and ever. And the other thing is, human beings are again very aspirational. So when there are big stars, when there's a Leonardo DiCaprio who speaks so much, when there are big actors who are putting down their money and saying, no, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, those things will help to a certain degree. And the thing right now that's happening a lot is the curriculum of children, especially the international schools where all parents are doing everything to send their children to with the CAS program, that they've got to do something humane. The human beings, they should be doing human things, but they've got to do things there. So there is a lot of you're rewarded when you speak nicely or you do something good about animals or anything of the other. You get better grades, and I think those things in their own way. Not that I appreciate or respect all of that to the highest degree, but they are making a kind of a difference to people quite a bit. I have noticed, and other than that. Either people are sensitive or they're not. It's as simple as that. I'll tell you another thing. The other day, I got into an argument over some issue and something or the other, and I was telling somebody, a very important, a big senior governor official, that I'm not interested in all this. I would actually like to go and look after animals. She saw my profile and हाँ जानवरों के पीछे आप तो भागते हैं, इंसानों के साथ क्या हो रहा है उसकी परवाह है. I said, ये तुम्हारा dialogue इतना घिसा पिटा. I'm very used to this dialogue. I know this. I said, but understand and remember one thing. Those people, जो लोग करते हैं, वो इंसानों के लिए, जानवरों के लिए करेंगे. हाँ, शायद उनकी प्रायोरिटी कहीं यहाँ वहाँ इंसान के लिए, जानवर के लिए, जो भी हो. लेकिन या लोगों को परवाह है या परवाह नहीं है. There's nothing in between, and that's what I've realized. If a human being is compassionate, he's going to be compassionate. There are a lot of people who have phobias and stuff, and I really feel any of my friend who's phobic about any animal, I keep explaining to them that there's something you're carrying with you cosmically. There's something you got to rectify in your path, in your journey. Please rectify, make the peace, do whatever. Okay, if you can't go and hug the animal, just go and feed somebody. Just go and feed an animal so you can get something out of it. But I really feel that you're carrying something. Something's happened. It's a cosmic cycle. That's how we're all living, and that's where we're all surviving. So I keep trying to explain that to people. There's not a single place I go that I don't talk about my animals. If I put up posts and celeb, they're the carrots I dangle so that people get on to see the abandoned puppies everyone needs to pick up, or not even abandoned, the older dogs that they need to pick up. So we just keep doing that, and Along with that, I work with everybody, be it PETA, be it everywhere. There are such wonderful people who are doing great things. So I think all of our collective power and collective energy is going to make a difference, however slow it might be. We're also all being a bit challenged, it's not coming easily to us. We're all being challenged, you work harder towards this, you work harder towards this, only then it'll happen. So we're all working harder, to try to see if there's a difference. And very, very little difference. At least areas in cities, in many cities, have got people who are looking after their strays. We've got a lot of water stuff put out for birds, for the chota. But I think it's the baby steps that's going to make a difference. I hope it is. And that's my first priority. Even when I'm doing events or anything, I will insist that I want to add something that is about an awareness, of anything.
Great.
I hope I'm right.
I think that's a very well structured answer. And before we close and come to a very interesting video that we have to show,
I just want to add, Dipankar, I just want to say, Aarti, I like your optimism. All the best.
Thank you.
So,
Yours too. Yours also.
Okay.
Closing
That's the
questions
only
to
way,
both
na?
of you.
Yeah.
One
give up.
thing. So, Manjiri and Aarti, if you were given the freedom to change one thing around you that will lead to better human-animal connect, what would that be? Manjiri, you first, then Aarti.
Change? No, I would add, this capacity to feel pain, the dog's pain. Every human being who harms a dog should feel that pain. And when you feel somebody's pain, you're going to understand what you're doing to animals. Once if they hit a stone, that stone doesn't have to pierce the dog; it has to pierce the human being who does it. And only then I feel you'll understand what is happening around you. I feel I would, if I had a magical power, I would do that. I would add the capacity to feel somebody else's pain, not your own pain, somebody else's pain. I would do that.
Hey, that's wonderful. Aarti, what's your take on this?
To add on to what Manjiri is saying, because everybody who's worked hands-on with animals, you understand just that. But we need a lot of support from establishments, governments, and managements. So I think what I've noticed in the last 5-7 years is that the police of the entire country has become very compassionate towards animals. It's so beautiful and so wonderful to see how sensitized they are. Now, everybody needs to look, if an animal is hurt, there's got to be a punishment. It's got to be a non-bailable or a jailable offense, at least, to say the least. You can't just let it go, people torturing animals. Have you seen a poor animal will be sitting there, somebody's going to be walking with a packet in their hand and they'll whack the dog. So that's gotten quite less now, because you have a lot of people who jump to the animal's rescue. The other thing is that you can't turn people. It's a realization. You can't turn people to love what they don't. They're cruel to human beings on their own. What they're going to do with animals. The other thing I really want to do is work out a pattern and a system to neuter animals nicely, decently, and then to have some care for them so that they don't die out of getting neutered and out of getting spayed. So those clinics are very important. We don't have enough. And they're so badly done. They're just so awfully done. And when there's a pregnant dog, I think that pregnant dog needs to be taken into an organization or a setup so that her puppies are, from the time they are born, they're taken care of, and she's neutered after that. And those puppies are housed properly. So what happens is that dogs are not born aggressive people. They want to play. They want to be cute. They want to cuddle. They want to be sweet. They're not aggressive by nature unless you push them to. So when you have animals right from childhood who are made, like you have lions and tigers today who are bonding with other animals. So when you have puppies who are raised, who love other human beings, and they only know that animosity will get a bit lesser. Like I said, baby steps. But after trying so much, after trying aggression, jumping out of my car, fighting with people, screaming, trust me, I've done everything. But after that, I've realized that people are people. They won't listen. Like, I have a point of view, they have a point of view. So if I need my point of view respected, I need to respect theirs. So the language of communication is that the amount I love animals, or the amount animal lovers love animals, even if they begin to appreciate an iota, even if they start by little bit to feel, that is important. But we need a lot of help. We need a lot of infrastructural help, because when people know they get away by the law, by punishments, by anything. Of course, in India, you paap lagega is one thing, but what they, I mean, you have the most religious people, pious people who won't do this, who won't kill a fly, who won't do this, but you look at the way they treat animals.
Yeah.
So I think baby steps to do whatever it takes.
Lovely. And this book is our whatever it takes to ensure that the world knows and realizes about the importance of
Oops.
loving animals and talking about them and not
Oh,
being cruel.
lovely.
So
Nice.
that's what it is about. Before we end the session, may I
Okay.
request a video to be played, which is recorded specially by Manjiri, and this is Manjiri's never seen before avatar in her pop culture avatar, a video that she
Super.
made for the
Lovely.
dog.
Okay.
Can we have the video, please?
All the way to heaven, on the rainbow color 7, I send my love to you. You know I will miss you. I will always love you. When the grass turned green and the spring became a stream, the mist became a fog and the puppy became a dog. All the way to heaven on a rainbow color 7, I send my love to you. You know I will miss you. I will always love you. When the sun lost its dome and the birds flew back home, you always greeted me with joy and jump and glee. All the way to heaven on a rainbow color 7, I send my love to you. You know I will miss you. I will always love you. You come and you go, leaving a special glow. A lick and a loving heart touch my soul as you depart. All the way to heaven on a rainbow color 7, I send my love to you. You know I will miss you. I will always love you. You taught me to care, to love and serve and bear. The DOGtrine of peace, a path that both can share. The DOGtrine of peace, a path that both can share. All the way to heaven, on the rainbow color 7, I send my love to you. You know I will miss you. I will always love you. I will always love you.
So, with that, we come to the end of this session. It was a pleasure having Dr. Manjiri, Prabhu, and Aarti Surendranath in the conversation, and we had a great 1 hour talking about things we really like. Manjiri and Aarti, thank you so much for being on the panel. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Aarti.
much. You go first. Manjiri?
No, thank you so much, Aarti, for coming here, and
Oh,
I really
God.
enjoyed listening to you. And
It's-
good luck for everything
No,
to do with
thank you.
animals.
It's thank you, thank everybody who's an animal lover who kind of does anything, because we all need to do as much as we can, and God bless us all, give us the strength, give us all the energy so that we can keep doing things that we need to. And this is such a cute video. Those dogs are so cute. I have to show you all mine, and just to take a couple minutes more. My kids, both my kids have grown up with 5 dogs in Bombay City.
Wow.
And everybody would tell me, "Are you mad? Are you crazy? How can you manage it?" I said, "I can manage it because the dogs are there. It's also beautifully taken care of. They're my strength. But thank you for having me on. I hope I can make even one little bit of a difference.
Of
And
course
God
you
bless
did.
you guys for the efforts."
Thank you. And over to you, Rucha, now.
Thank you for this wonderful, wonderful discussion. Many of us now understand the importance of animals, especially street dogs in our life. Thank you, Mrs. Aarti Surendranath, Dr. Manjiri Prabhu, and Mr. Dipankar Mukherjee for being IFSI guests. We will begin our next discussion on Adhyatma, mysticism or applied science for mind, body, and spirit at 6 p.m. See you all then. Thank you.